Hello and welcome to the Bovasin Outdoor Chronicles. My name's Jared.
And my name's Garrett.
And
my name's Holly.
We're two brothers and one wife who spend most of our money and time on our adventures.
From working all week to playing all weekend.
We find ourselves surviving the week to live on the weekend. There we go.
I feel like I'm a third wheel now.
You should.
Maybe we can get like some kind of mannequin here so I don't feel so lonely on this side. Yeah, moral support.
Yeah.
Because that was a big thing, right? You were nervous about doing the podcast, so you brought your wife in to...
I'm moral support.
Yeah. She comforts me. And it's also why we don't show ourselves from the waist down.
Yeah.
Waist down.
What does that mean exactly?
I know. I was just thinking, but I didn't want to say that. What does that mean?
You're playing footsie with me under the table the whole time we're talking. Keeping me going.
Oh.
Okay. Well, so what are we going to talk about today?
I think we should talk about first our nice centerpiece that we have every episode.
Yeah. If you look at it, you'll see absolutely nothing.
And why is it absolutely nothing?
Because we did not seal the deal what we've been trying to do the last weekend, or was it 2 weekends? Last 2 weekends.
Well,
because end of antelope, we didn't seal the deal.
No.
And then
the airplane trip, we didn't seal the deal.
Right.
So it's been the last 3 weekends.
So it's symbolic for like, we're trying, but we haven't got it yet.
No, we haven't. And this is coming
for
from
a hunting podcast. Sorry.
You guys have a hunting podcast, but you don't get anything. Well,
it's not a shooting podcast.
Hey.
Yeah. Well, clearly.
I got my antelope, so.
Yeah, Holly, do you want to just go ahead and lead the podcast?
Yeah.
Tell us what it's like to be a successful hunter.
Well, Jared helped me get it.
Oh,
so.
wake me up out of the hospital. Yeah, we all.
I eat my snacks. I go out. I have a theory. You don't have to hunt in the morning.
Oh, my.
When did you shoot your buck?
Well, okay, that was
In
the
the morning.
exception to the rule.
Oh, my
And
Lord.
I don't know. On the other podcast, did we get a picture of her up?
Of when
I go, show a picture of Holly's antelope now.
No, I haven't.
Okay, so
Splice that together.
Okay,
Yet.
well, I know it's not yet, but I didn't know if we showed a picture in any of our other episodes of it. Yeah, she shot a dandy antelope. She probably won't ever beat because I'm not going to let her shoot first again. Learned my lesson that time. If she wasn't running her mouth for us not getting anything, I wouldn't feel bad about.
I think a wise job, and this may be controversial, but it's to humble you every once in a while. To be
I think it's to better my man. And if my man comes home a failure again, he's not getting dinner. Sorry.
Oh, my word.
Sorry, I'm done.
Oh, and we're off this episode. All right.
What are you going to do? Oh, I'm so scared.
So, I have this elk tag. Our listeners are well aware. Went on the airplane ride. We talked about that in a previous episode. Couldn't seal the deal. So now we're kind of scrambling, right?
Didn't really have the opportunity. So, also on this, it's not like we have been screwing up on elk.
No.
Well,
we took a week off, got dropped in. The area that we got dropped in.
Didn't have any elk.
Right. And we already covered that.
Yeah. But it's not like the weekend after or whatever, we were bedding elk and we just can't seal the deal. It's like we just haven't got on one you want to shoot.
Right.
Yet.
Well, the weekend after that, we went antelope hunting one day. Then I went and tried to chase elk for the next day. And so it's hard, right? Definitely hindsight's 2020. I thought the plane trip would be like done deal. So now it's like it's a last minute scramble. I need to seal the deal. I need to start putting some hours in. It's a game of odds at this point, right? You get out in the woods and you just increase your time, and then you increase your chances of being able to seal the deal.
Yep.
So this last weekend, we're like, okay, well, we got the spot where we kind of want to go. Let's go there. And, what do we want to sleep in? Well, we wanted to be really mobile.
Yeah.
So it's like,
if there's not elk here, we're going to go here. If there's not elk here, we're going to go there. We don't want to pitch a tent and tear down a tent and set up sleeping bags and sleeping pads and cots or whatever.
And we've hunted multiple ways. One way is like really hunt an area hard, but for this, we're like, we got to find elk, right? So mobile. So back of the truck sleeping, right?
And it was horrible. Holly, you would have hated it.
I've slept in the back of that truck before.
Ooh, that's bringing up some
The old Lauren nut to butt trip.
nut to butt trip.
So I know how that is, except for there's 4 people and a dog, I think, in the back of that
And a
truck.
Chevy, 97 Chevy, like short
Yeah.
bed.
Yeah, but it was nut to butt. It was tight, but we slept like right on the plywood. I don't
Yeah.
think we had pads.
No.
No.
And it was warm.
Yeah. How could it not be?
Like
Yeah.
a human sandwich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was rough.
But it also was not as cold. That was spring turkey, I think. It wasn't as cold as it was this weekend. But yeah, you would have hated it. Garrett, he talks to me. He's one of those guys that wants like truck boxes so he can store stuff, and they've kind of been pretty handy. I'll admit that. But they also kind of render the back of your pickup useless for other stuff. But you already have a topper on it, so it's kind of already useless for other
Yeah,
stuff.
you can't load like a 4-wheeler in there or something.
No.
You're already limited
Yeah.
on space.
Yeah.
And the thought, I mean, I'm on several Facebook pages, truck bed camping and stuff, and the boxes are a good way to go because they keep your stuff organized without getting stacked. You know, you still have that kind of flat surface that a lot of people you sleep on. And
Yeah.
I've slept on that before, but this trip I'm like, you know what? I'm going
There'll
to
be
sleep
2
in
of us.
luxury.
Yep.
I'm going to get a queen air mattress and blow it up in there.
Where was that when I slept in the back? That's messed up.
Listen to this.
Oh.
Well, the box is higher. The air mattress is a pretty thick one. So you have like this much room.
Like you're laying in the back of the truck like this, and the top of the topper's right here.
Yeah, like so, like even getting in,
you
like
can't even get on your side, probably.
You can get
You
on
can
your
get
side.
Oh, then it's not like right here.
It feels like
It-
it's right there.
Yeah.
Ah,
But
Like-
especially when you walked all day, you're exhausted, and you go to climb in there, you got to like
Yeah, you can't just
Do that
like,
again.
climb in.
and. Jared, it was like an ordeal. Him climbing in there, I felt like I'm outside, I'm cold. I want to get into bed. And I'm like, Jesus, just get in your sleeping bag already. He's like, oh, it doesn't have a zipper. I gotta wiggle around.
Yeah, so my bag doesn't unzip, right? So Garrett could
Yeah.
climb in next to his bag unzipped and kind of roll in and zip up. Me, I had to climb in there. You can't sit up because it's only like this deep. Lay on my side and like shimmy in my bag and finally get it up. And then it would be like, all right, I'm in. And then Garrett would come in and shut the, back of the topper and get in his bag.
It was cold. I mean, the air mattress was comfortable, but one thing I didn't think about is you have that much air, no insulation, basically.
Yeah,
So
in a
underneath
metal
you-
box.
It's cold.
So like our breath was freezing on the inside. Everything that was metal that was out was covered in, I got a picture of it, was covered in ice.
Yeah.
And that air mattress was cold. Like you were warm kind of on top from your sleeping bag and bags, but underneath it was like sleeping on, like it would have been.
not have liked that.
Oh no, you would have froze your ass. I froze my ass.
Ooh.
And that's saying something because I'm like a hot person or
Yeah, you are,
Oh, my
buddy.
God.
Mm.
warm blooded.
Let's put a picture up of you here. Let's let our
Looking like
listeners
a
vote.
toad. They have a few.
Yeah. So, hey, that's in a book. You're not supposed to show anyone.
It was my
Oh,
wedding
Lord.
gift.
The toad.
The toad book. Okay, I'm sorry.
Warts and all. All right. So, mobile camp, right? We definitely froze our butt, but we kind of got this spot. And we're like, well, let's go walk in, right? Because
Yeah. And how this worked is there's a road that comes through, and there's 2 little corners that touch that you can access. Well, the first corner, there's a big burrow ditch you couldn't really like pull off and camp. The second one was 300 yards away, maybe?
yeah,
We parked there. And I thought, all right, we're good.
Park to sleep? What
Park
are you
to
talking
sleep.
about?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep. The night we got there at like 1:30.
yeah.
And
we had
why?
to watch
You
the
had to watch the Mike Tyson, fight.
Oh my God. I don't want to even bring that up.
I have to say the highlight was Mike Tyson's ass.
That's all I heard
Like
Garrett say.
That just killed me.
Yeah.
Like, the talk's over. It's just fight time. It doesn't matter. Like, dramatic.
Vicious victory.
Yeah.
Love you, son. Turns around.
Mike
Just
ass.
out.
Classic.
Classic.
The 2 fights before the actual fight
Were pretty
were
good.
good, but the whole Jake Paul, Mike Tyson thing was,
A joke.
Yeah. So that sucked because, you know, I was kind of excited
We
for
stayed watching that. When we,
Yeah, well,
we
all
could have
of
been on the
your
road.
and while we were watching that, it rained and all of your crap got wet.
Yeah.
Because we had it in the back of the
So
truck.
maybe that's why you were cold. It wasn't the mattress. It was just your soaking wet sleeping bag.
That could have been.
Yeah. So, yeah, that first night, we were late because we watched a fight that we probably shouldn't have watched. And we were tired, but we climbed into that. And it was cold just getting in.
Yeah.
We climbed in, went to bed, woke up. As we're getting up, a truck drives by us and drops some guys off 200 yards from when they can see we're walking in here.
Yeah.
And that goes back to just how courteous are you? It was like, really, guys?
And it'd be different if that was like a large section
Yeah.
where you could go one way and they could go another way. But it
Uh-huh.
was like they're going to be walking down the same canyon that we
We
are.
are literally parked on the same ridge.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell, guys?
Yeah.
So I know you were kind of throwing a fit. I would be too if it was my elk tag on the line. And I'm just like, we'll walk in there. You know, fuck them. We'll walk in there. We were here first. I don't feel bad. Now, if the roles were reversed, if we had got there at 5 a.m, like those guys, and someone was already parked and walking in, I'd be like, they beat us here.
Yeah.
Let's go try somewhere else. I wouldn't walk in front of them.
That's messed up. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how this weekend kicked off. And I've been saying this whole hunting season. It just hasn't felt right. I don't feel like I've been clicked in. I've been having a rough one. I mean, antelope was great.
Yeah,
You
great
had
job.
a good one.
I
I
got-
shot one. You
I got a
shot
doe,
one.
yeah.
You know, we both shot does, and but after that, it just was. And I shot a lot of birds, but for big game, I hadn't really been seeing stuff. Antelope was difficult for me, and I couldn't get out some weekends for some other stuff. And I did get out, chase some antelope, no big ones. It was hard to find. I found one decent antelope, and it didn't work out. I didn't grab my gun. Mine was still in the case. We saw him, so I grabbed Dad's gun, and I didn't have it totally on fire. Just stupid shit like that's not working out. And then that same weekend, towards the end of the Sunday evening, there was a group of nice toms out. I'm like, screw it. I haven't got anything. I'll shoot a nice tom. Shoot and miss. And it just was like one after the other. And then
Maybe you're bad luck. Maybe I should just
I
steer
don't know.
clear.
I'm having
Performance issues.
I'm having performance issues. Exactly. So
It happens to the best of us. They say it
does.
affects 1 in 5 men. We are looking for sponsors, so if you sponsor us. No, I mean, but that's the thing about hunting is some years it's like incredible and you're like, wow. And then some years you really have to go out and you really have to fight for your animal.
I mean, 2 years ago I shot that head mount antelope downstairs, like biggest antelope of my life. I shot my first bull elk with my bow, and I shot a pretty decent mule deer. Like I had the trifecta.
Yeah.
I shot everything
So,
except the black bear.
maybe take a year off. Save some for the other
Maybe
guys.
that's what this is.
Yeah.
So, anyways, we walk in.
It's actually telling you to stay home with your wife and hang out.
I don't think it's saying that.
It was worth a shot.
It was. Maybe you're my good luck charm. Maybe you need to go with me.
That's cute.
Will you go?
It's cold
I'm
now.
not going.
It's
It'd probably
cold.
be pretty toasty and steamy in the topper then, Garrett.
You're sleeping
Jared
outside.
Mason.
Jesus.
And she farts a lot. That's all I'm saying.
Well,
It's
that's
humid.
fair. Well, can we get back to our story? We're getting kind of
Yes,
sidetracked
sorry.
on this episode.
So, but my point making was, it's like this season, it just hasn't clicked yet. And we get there to walk in, we think there's going to be elk, and people try getting in front of us.
Yeah.
And it just was like it's like, damn. You know, God, what I did something this year that you're just, feels like you're, I'm paying for it now. Some karma or something. But we walked in the dark, and there was a point, we were getting some help from a guy that had been in this area before, and he gave us some points and was like, this is where you should sit, glass here. I see elk moving through here sometimes. So we're going up, and I see where we're going to sit, and I look over, and there's I'm not supposed to swear
No.
anymore. Some just some guy,
Some nice individual.
some nice individual that I would like to meet and bury in a hole out there and never see again.
Why? What was he doing?
Sitting right where we're supposed to sit, like the point that we're supposed
So
to
you
sit
guys just
at.
didn't get in there fast enough.
Well, we were there first.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
They dropped off and ran in front of us.
And he was sitting right where you guys wanted to sit?
Yes. Or where we were going to.
Yeah.
And so that
How
was
did
like,
Jared handle that?
Surprisingly well.
Really?
The pressure's on me because I have the elk tag, right? So he's just kind of like, oh, no, he'll be all right, which...
I'm playing the cool head.
Yeah.
Oh, good for you.
Plus, he was sitting on the first spot to look. He wasn't really sitting on the spot that we were supposed to like get into the elk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was kind of like, that morning spot shot, but we think the majority of the elk should be over here.
Mm-hmm.
And so we kind of looped around him and came in and spotted some deer down in there. We think one was a buck, but it was really thick, burned, mixed timber. We saw a flash of an ass, and that was about it. Not to mention the weather. And this is another reason why you would have not liked it. It was snowing sideways. We were sitting on a bare hillside, pretty much. I mean, we were in a little bit of the burn for cover to break us up, but we were sitting in glassing, and that wind and snow was blowing right at our face, up from the valley, right at our face, and probably 15, 18 miles an hour.
Yeah.
You know?
Nope.
Definitely wasn't like a sunny spot to take a nap.
And I was cold.
Yeah,
I
but you
couldn't
were-
get warm.
See, I would do that if I was like sitting with my like hot chocolate and Kahlua and like watching a football game. But if you're sitting out there in the cold and you can't get warm, that's rough.
Yeah, and it was lack of preparation because we've been bear hunting before in colder conditions.
Yeah,
and
well, it's
stuff.
like it was nice all season. Then all of a sudden it wasn't nice. And, you know, our gear, like even our packable blankets we normally take, we didn't
No, we didn't
take those.
And then, like Holly was saying, sometimes we'll bring our jet boil too.
Yeah.
You know, so it is like a comfort thing. If we would have brought our pack blankets or down blankets and our jet boils, we would have been sitting under a warm blanket glass with hot chocolate.
See, that doesn't sound bad.
No,
I'd go
we
with
just
that.
didn't bring the gear because it was like, I don't
Yeah.
need it this time. And
Not worth the wait.
no.
Not worth
the
the
second
wait.
day I did
But I'll
bring it.
bring a queen-sized pad or whatever. It's called.
Yeah, in the back of the truck. But the second day we did pack all the shit and we didn't use it. It was warm. It warmed up. So, but yeah, we got in there and we looked around, saw some deer, and then as we're watching these deer, I look over where the boundary is, what we can hunt up to, and the wind is coming from that direction. So you don't want to be over there because then you
Wind everything out.
wind everything out. Mm-hmm. Right? They'll smell you, and they just slowly work through the timber. It's not like they spook out and you can see them. They know how to sneak out of some little ravine or whatever unseen, and they'll just leave. So you're always mindful of your wind. And I look across there, and there's some fucking guy.
Jared.
Hey, just like,
Another one? Or was
I-
it the same ones?
I think it was another guy, but I don't know for sure. They both were wearing the same orange hat, so it could be the same guy.
It is hunting season though, so
Yeah. Orange hats are kind of popular this time of year.
Exactly. But for him to do that, like imagine if this computer screen is this ridge we're on, okay? We walk up, he's sitting here. So we walked that way and sat down. And that guy came walking from way over here. So he would have had to walk back around to us.
that would
make a big
be,
loop.
yeah, that'd be wild.
He could have,
Yeah.
but I kind of feel like there was two guys in there, is my opinion. And he got up high where everything could see him and the wind was blowing past him, and I thought, well, Garrett, maybe he'll push something by us, but nothing came out. And then we went for a walk.
Yep. A lot of walking.
I found you some presents.
Yeah.
What'd I find you?
Little horns
And
and oysters.
yeah,
Shells.
I found fossilized oysters coming out of the hillside, which was pretty cool. Or clams or some sort of mussel. You know, I don't.
I love when you come home and you bring me presents. It could just be like a dumb rock. And I'm like, he thought
He
me.
thought- it's a
It's a present.
You know how many times we're like at a gas station, he's like digging in the gravel for something for you?
Don't
way
tell
back.
me that in a gas station.
That's if I think about it on the way home. Most of the time, I get out of the truck in our gravel driveway, and I'm like, oh, shit. I gotta find a rock real quick.
Yeah, and you wake me up and you hand me little rocks, and it's cute.
Yep.
Oh my god, I'm gonna puke.
It's sweet.
Yeah,
I'm low
so
maintenance.
in
I
that-
like a rock.
That day, it just snowed sideways. Nothing was sticking. It was wet, rainy,
Yeah.
like big flake snow. We didn't see any elk. There was elk tracks here and there, but not like there was a herd of elk in there.
Right. And you're like, I want to go find a cave and sit down, eat lunch.
Eat lunch, get out of the wind, and take a nap.
Yep. So we go down. We found a pretty cool spot in the rocks.
Well,
kind of
right before
overhang.
that, we stopped on the hillside,
Oh,
and you have your puffy coat, and you
Yeah.
you took like an hour
I
nap.
slept like a little baby.
I couldn't because I was so cold. I was shivering. And I talked to him like, hey, let's get up and find a cave. And you're like, in a bit, in a bit. So I'd sit in glass and shiver and sit in glass and shiver.
Garrett.
Finally, I'm
He's
like,
all right.
yeah. Finally, I'm
Poor
like,
Jared.
we got to get up. Like, I got to warm up. In where we were sitting, it was like glassed out. I've been there for an hour. Let's move at least to another point. So we kind of walked around and down, and we found it was like perfect. It was meant to be almost.
Yep. Sat down.
It's like this little ravine we walked into, and right when we walk into, there's a big rock sitting this way, and the top broke off and fell on it like this, and it created this big cave in this tight canyon ravine, no wind. But this side was open where the sun was, so no wind and the sun would beat on you.
All I could think about is in Shrek when you're like walking by and they have to like stop because it's gonna be sunset, and they find that little cave, and she like. I just.
Yep.
Oh, sorry.
I guess
sorry.
I don't remember
Good one.
Shrek that one.
Oh.
No, I don't watch it
I
that
just
much.
imagine you're like an ogre man, and you're like in this little
Yep.
cave.
That's exactly
Sorry.
what it was.
Sorry.
That's exactly what it was when we were sitting there cutting off summer sausage and cheese, eating.
Yep.
And I'm like, all right, let's go. And he's like, I took a nap. And I'm like, in my mind, it's like limited time.
But you can take a nap.
I already took an hour nap. I didn't need one.
Exactly. What?
I sleep when available. I sleep where we
You
can
were
glass.
freezing my husband.
He goes and climbs down in this hole and then wants to sleep there all day.
In the warm
all
sun.
day. Was it all day?
What did I tell you? I wanted 15 minutes.
No.
Garrett.
He says that
you
every
could've
time.
given 15
And it's like 2
minutes.
hours.
No.
Yeah.
It wasn't 2 hours.
And the best
Okay.
part about it is nothing's coming near us because there's a freaking chainsaw running next to me.
Jared. You
That's
were
a natural
sick
noise. Natural noise.
Yeah.
to maybe
So
the
this is,
pug, but
if this makes you feel better, this is what Garrett did. All right, well, I'll see you later. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, you're wasting my time, dude. And I'm like, all right, where do you want to meet? Well, we'll meet at the truck. Probably be after dark. Okay, good luck. And he took off. And I warmed up in the sun, took my nap. I woke up not too long, I don't think, after you left.
Must not have been.
I think it was probably like 20 minutes or something. And I walked off in my direction. In the meantime,
I'm kind of coming up the hill that we're in the cranny of, and oh wow, that's fresh elk track. You know, oh that's fresh elk track. Oh, that's fresh elk shit right there. Like, it's real fresh.
mm-hmm.
And then what's that spot? Because it's all burnt out. So it's like
Yeah.
gray
Also,
dust.
so this is where the forest fire went through. Okay. So it's not like there's grass or anything. It's just like ash.
yeah,
it's
you
like-
guys came home and you were covered in dark ash.
Yeah.
It
it's like,
was,
why are you so dirty?
Oh my God! Wash your hands. Oh my!
That's a great impression of me.
Is it?
Well, you
I
guys
thought
are
it was of Sierra because it was
Oh.
the same day.
Sierra's not here to defend herself. That's messed
I
up.
know.
You can defend her.
Yeah, that's messed up, Garrett.
Yeah, my bad. But and then I'm like, what's that wet spot there? And I reached my glove down and mistakenly grabbed some soil to smell it. It was elk pee. Well, then the whole rest of the time
Made that
my
mistake.
hand smells like elk pee. But I'm like, they're
Your
in this
gloves on?
area. Yeah.
So not only did it smell like elk pee, your wool gloves absorbed some of that.
Yeah. Well,
Pee.
it's called natural aroma. You know, you got to blend in with your.
I did
All
that.
I can tell you is that probably smelled better than when Jared came home. Oh my God. His natural aroma was fresh. I'm sorry. Sorry.
Well, at least she's honest. You know,
Yeah.
I don't get this perspective just going hunting with you, so I'm glad I'm getting the full picture of what the life of Jared
I'm a
is like.
doll when I go hunting.
Yeah.
I'm wonderful.
I've had that experience though when we were elk hunting with Ron, and he was like, I found blood in the snow. I found blood in the snow. I went over and it was brown. I'm like, that's not snow, that's elk pee. And I picked it up in my glove, but it was in melted snow, and I had him smell it. And he's like, oh, wow. And I threw it down, didn't think any. Well, it was wet snow. It soaked my wool glove. Well, later on, I go to glass or do something, and you know, you bite your gloves, pull them off. I bit my glove, and that melted snow pea filled my mouth.
That's sick.
So I should have known better.
And you like to kiss me. The piss taster.
That's true. Anytime I see some piss, I'm like, hey, can you come taste this?
Well, it runs in the family. Old Uncle Danny likes to smell the pee, too.
What?
Story for another time, babe.
So
Love inside jokes.
there's elk in this area, right? There's fresh shit,
Yep.
fresh piss, fresh tracks. They're in this area somewhere. So I just kind of work my way back and forth on this knob glass, and they have to be in here somewhere. They have to be in here somewhere. And elk are a surprising creature because all of a sudden there they are. I mean, you've glassed this
They're big animals to be able to do that.
to just disappear.
It's one thing for a deer or an antelope to disappear, but you got an elk, and they come out of nowhere.
Yeah. And they're all of a sudden they're there, so I take out my phone. I'm taking pictures of them kind of crossing this
And we're
meadow.
hunting rough country. This isn't like plains or farmland or rolling hills.
Up
This
and
is
down.
up and down, real steep stuff. So
And I'm like, man, that was cool, but I'm looking back at my photos. I'm like, they're bulls, which is what I'm looking for, but they're not
mature.
they're not the class of bull that I would like to get, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, well, there might be more elk down in there. I'll go kind of see. Maybe I saw 4 or 5 cross the field. Maybe there's more down in there.
So in the meantime, I wake up from my nap.
3 hours later.
You just needed 15 minutes, Garrett.
It really was only probably 15 minutes. Because while Garrett saw the elk tracks and walked down,
He's
and then
defense.
and saw the elk, we put this together by pictures we took at the same time.
Ah.
Right? So in the meantime, while he's on his adventure walking down looking for elk, I got up and I walked and I found fresh elk tracks, which were down from the hill from him. And I took pictures of their beds. There was pea spots. There was fresh scat. And I'm like, there's elk in here. So I started following their tracks down into the canyon where they went, thinking, I'll walk slow and look, and maybe I'll see them feeding or walking through. And eventually, I just kind of how the land laid, I lost the tracks. Like I could see where they went, but, I couldn't. So I said, well, I'll walk up to this other ridge and look back down. So I walk up to this other ridge, and I do this whole long walk. At the same time I was following these elk, taking pictures, Garrett took pictures of those elk stepping out. So I bird dogged those elk to Garrett. So Garrett came off this point. Let's say if this
I like that verb. I bird dogged it.
Garrett came off this point, was looking down here. I walked off this way and was walking down here, and those elk came out here in front of Garrett.
So I see these elk crossing. Let's go down there, see what we can find. So I go down there and sit. I'm like, well, those elk would have to be right in this kind of area. And I'm just sitting there, my gun's on my back.
Oh, first, why would we split up?
What's that?
Why would we split up in the first place?
Because you want to take a nap.
Yeah, but I don't have an elk take. So why would we walk 2 different paths?
I don't know what your question is.
Well, when we were talking about splitting up, it was like we haven't found elk.
Right.
So you're splitting up to find them?
Because we can cover twice as much ground. If we walk together, you only see what the other person sees. If I leave him and I find elk in this next canyon, I can come back and find him, and maybe the next day we'll be in that canyon. Does that make sense?
We
hadn't scouted this, so it was
we'd never been here before. Yeah,
in the dark, basically. But so I got to get down to the elk. Go down to elk.
Sit right in the front.
Are you better now?
That's a lot better, yeah.
Sitting down, guns on my back, not thinking much of it. I'm like, well, those elk would be like right down to my right. And then pretty soon I hear a stick crack. And I'm like, oh, I get out my phone. And in my head, it was kind of like, I'm going to prove to this guy, Jared, who wants to take freaking naps all day, that I can go find some freaking elk. And these two bull elk come out. I range them 122 yards in front of me. And they weren't like huge bulls. And in my head, it was like I already saw the ones that crossed, and none of them were ones that I wanted to shoot. So I wasn't like getting my gun off, get ready. I was just kind of in the moment. Well, then when they crossed, it was like, that's 120 yards. Why is my gun not off? So I recorded them with my cell phone as they crossed, and one stopped and stood there and looked at me. And it was like a minute and a half of them just kind of right below me.
You could show a clip of that too. Of them coming out.
Where I could have had an opportunity, and I wasn't ready for it, but I was also not in the mindset to where I wanted to shoot one of those elk. But that goes to show you don't know. You
should have had your gun off.
Yeah.
And that's the first thing he said to me when he gets to the truck at night. He goes, you screwed me. And I go, how'd I screw you? And he's like, you weren't there to tell me to get my gun off.
Get your gun off.
Yeah. That's awesome.
There's a few things I say, get your gun off.
Put another one in him.
Put another one in him.
Yeah. Catchphrases.
Yeah.
But it was a cool experience just being that close.
Mm-hmm.
And, we didn't see each other after that. We both walked different routes back to the truck. And so then, did you see anything? And you're like, no, some tracks.
I saw 3 deer.
Yeah.
And you saw the same deer.
3 deer.
But I forgot to tell you this kind of weird story.
Oh, here we go.
All right.
I bet can I guess?
Yeah.
Did a chipmunk come up? Did you pick it up? Did you pet the chipmunk? Did a bird come and land on your head? You do have
I have animal encounters.
I know. But there's no one ever to see it.
This was a close animal. They saw it once.
No, I saw one out here.
What did you see?
The bird. Didn't it land on your shoulder or something?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Something happened weird outside.
That's why she's your wife.
I have no recollection.
Collaborate
You don't?
each other's stories.
A bird?
Yeah, it was like weirdly, like it like landed on you.
I don't remember that. Anyways, back to
God, you have Jared's stories now.
Back to the actual story. So I'm walking, and when you're out there, especially when you're by yourself, your mind kind of thinks of weird stuff. Even with your, I brought up weird questions for you.
Yeah. A weird guy to be in the woods with.
But I'm walking and I think in my head, I'm like, what if I come up over this hill and there's a pack of coyotes going to attack me? And I'm like, that would never
Again
happen.
with the pack of coyotes. I think he has a fear of coyotes.
I was zipped in a bag.
We were going to chew my face off.
I'm not afraid of coyotes. I'm afraid of getting bit by coyotes.
In the face. Who is not getting afraid of bit in the face? Anyways. And I'm like, no, I would be able to fight them off, right? That doesn't worry me. And then I go, but what if I walk up here and there's a pack of coyotes attacking and trying to kill a baby coyote? And then I'll have to save the baby coyote. And I'm like, how do I explain to Garrett that I carried this wounded coyote back to the truck to nurse it back to health?
You would keep it too.
Fishing game, I would not keep it.
I would not.
Yeah. And right as I'm thinking about that, right, I'm walking, I
Did you see a baby coyote?
I step, and right to my left, probably 10 feet away, a fucking coyote jumps up. How now? Listen,
you're so full of.
Why
didn't you tell me this story when we got back? And we were exchanging stories?
I started.
You're so full of.
I started to tell it to you, but we were calling Dad and texting our buddy and calling Holly and calling Sierra. So I started to tell you the story, and then someone would call or we get a text, and it kept getting interrupted. But the wind was so strong from the west, right? And I was coming up. I was walking around and coming up on a knob, and he was bedded under a cedar bush. And I about stepped on him. Now, it's not really a crazy story. I've walked into coyotes before that close.
Yeah.
But it's just weird you were thinking
it's
about
weird
it.
I was thinking about it.
Yeah.
And then,
weird.
It startled me. I was like, holy shit. And it took off running.
So I think this is what happened.
All right.
You come up, and you probably jumped a coyote. We've done it, even bird hunting. And then you start thinking about, wow, what if that coyote had other coyotes and there's a baby coyote? I think your timeline's backwards.
No, not at all.
I'm just, the first time I'm hearing about this story, and I've been seeing you the last 3 days, I'm a little sus. That meme,
that
the doubt, press X pricks doubt.
Yeah.
That's suspicious.
Why would I make that up?
I don't know.
It makes no sense.
You're
Why-
weird though. You make up stories.
Why would you?
To
Why?
screw with people.
Why would your
a bird
wife?
story?
Yeah, and you clearly missed the boat. You're like, oh, I don't know, and she was like backing you 100.
I don't remember a bird landing on my shoulder.
Okay, that happened. It happened. Oh, it was on your head. No, it was like on your hat or something.
No, you're thinking of when we were in Yellowstone. That was Garrett's hat.
No. Wrong. We were out in the yard.
And what were we doing?
Can you guys get your story straight before we press record?
There's a dog.
What were we doing?
I don't know. Something in the yard. And there was some animal encounter, and we both looked at each other like, no one's ever going to believe that just happened. And I was like, no, you're right.
Yes, I do remember that.
But you don't remember what happened.
I don't remember the
It
animal.
was something with a bird.
Yeah, I do. It was. We were working in the garden, and it was like.
I can't
Holy
believe that just
crap.
happened.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So yeah, but it wasn't like a bird landed on my shoulder.
It was something weird like that. I swear.
Yeah, it was weird. It was a weird encounter.
Yeah.
well,
Your
And
neighbor coming out in his underwear, smoking a cigar. Is that what your
It was
weird encounter
actually
was?
Jared. Sorry. I'm done. I'm not done giving you shit. We haven't talked about your deer yet.
I have a video of me coming out to your house about like 1 p.m. and you're in your underwear, and I'm
In
like,
the tank.
I'm like, what are you doing? Yeah, and did you climb in your water tank?
I don't know how you fit in it either.
Okay, so
His barrel-chested toad man
I have
can
to-
fit in a water tank.
I
It's
have to-
amazing.
I have to haul water, and it's a white tank. Sometimes, especially in the summer, you'll grow algae, so you need to wash it out. Well, I've since devised a better plan,
He gets inside of it.
but when I had never done it before, so what I did is I got all my
Got all
soap and
lubed it.
scrubber and bleach,
Lubed up.
and I didn't want clothes on, so I got in my underwear and I climbed. It's only a 24-inch hole.
Okay, here's the thing. Would
I
we
climbed in
rather
there.
have algae, a little bit of algae, or you and your underwear and our water supply?
There was bleach.
Not enough.
No, never enough.
I want to post that video so bad because I'm just like, what are you doing? I had to clean my tank.
So serious.
Now I've got this telescopic rod that I extend out and I
And you
can
can
just
scrub
clean
it.
from the top.
Yeah, that's a better plan.
It works a lot.
It just
better.
reminds me of Danny DeVito and the couch in Always Sunny Philadelphia.
Which is an homage to Jim
Ace
Carrey and the
Ventura.
Rhino.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same energy.
Still surprised he got out. I was worried he was going to be in there. And then, like, sometimes babies get, like, stuck in the birth canal that break their shoulders. That's what we was worried about. You got,
It was tight on my shoulder.
yeah, I
I
know.
had to go like one arm out and then the other
It was like a birth.
Did you have an urge just to like push the tank down the hill?
Totally.
And then go find him?
Totally. I'm just not
I mean,
that
he'd
strong.
be mad, but it would take him a while to get out. So you'd probably be
Yeah,
safe.
but also there's probably enough water in there that it would be like one of those balls that you
Oh,
sit
there
in,
you
you
go.
like push down the hill. We should try it this summer.
No, I don't think that'd be fun at all. But yeah, so
So your stories,
I don't know where we were. what
I
we
don't
talking
know
about.
where to believe your stories is what the point I'm trying to make.
all right, you don't have to believe it. But the story is not that I walked up to the coyote. The story is that I was
were thinking about
it, and then there was one. So I think if I think hard enough about a big bull this
There we go.
weekend, I can
Fingers
make
crossed.
it happen. Fingers crossed.
Think it into fruition.
Yeah. But the rest of that night was pretty uneventful. I just walked out, saw a few deer, no big deer, barely any deer. I think we might have saw 4 to 5 deer that whole day, and those 6 elk was it.
Yeah.
And we got back to the truck, and we were looking at maps, and we're like, well, we didn't have service this whole time, so we should probably go drive to get service. So we did. And that's when I texted you, and we did all that stuff, and we devised a plan, and we were going to go, it's about 20 more miles in and camp, park and camp, and walk in a different location. So we start driving down the road, and it's obviously dark because we came out in the dark. Oh, I got to tell my tent walking out.
Mm-hmm.
So you're walking out by yourself. All right.
I love the sidetracks this episode.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Or you need like a map. Like, okay.
Back to the main.
I'm walking out the truck by myself, and you're always constantly, especially in the dark, you're hyper aware of any light. And that's one reason when I'm walking in or walking out, if I don't need a headlight, if the moon's bright enough, I won't wear one. But you can see a headlight from miles away, right?
Yeah.
And I don't like people knowing where I was walking or anything. So I'm walking, you can pick up light, and I pick up this light, and it's like just a little white kind of dome. And I'm like, damn, is that like a porch? Is that a house? Is that somebody's tent? And I throw my binoculars up on it. Sure enough, it's like a canvas tent lit up. And I'm like, oh, they got a big camp up over in these hills. That's where you're thinking of walking the next day. Kind of like, oh, shit. So I walk a little farther, and it comes out from behind the trees more, just the angle. And I'm like, holy shit, that's a huge canvas tent. They got it lit up. And I'm like, damn, like that's a big camp. And I walk a little more ways, and I look back, and I'm like, holy fuck, that's a huge tent. And then it clicked, and it was the moon coming up over the
It was
hills.
the moon.
It was the moon.
Jared.
I thought it was a lot closer than it was.
Oh, no.
But it was a very bright moon. So it's like,
Okay,
when
I
I looked
will
at it,
say that when me and Sierra were hanging out this weekend, we walked outside, and it was like a full moon this weekend.
It was
It was huge, but I did not think it was a tent. Okay, that's straight.
This
He's
has come
got
from the
two
same
full
guy
moons.
that thought about coyotes, and then there was coyotes. So see, I just don't know what to believe.
yeah.
But
That's a little concerning. Like, oh my gosh, it's a huge tent. It's
But
the
in
moon.
your thought, that's like, that happens in a split second. It's not like I was sitting there for a long time.
Okay, but it made it sound like you had enough time to bring up your binoculars to look at it and stuff. So it wasn't a split second, unless
When I
which part
first
are
saw
you
it-
exaggerating?
When I first saw it, it was just the top of the moon. Through the trees, it looked like just a little tent.
I don't know, Garrett.
When I came out, it
I'm
was a little
concerned.
bigger tent.
What
and
were
the
you
third-
guys drinking on this trip? What were you doing?
hey Google, how to tell early onset Alzheimer's? Do they think that the tent is a moon or the moon is a tent?
I think it's more like, are they starting to talk to animals?
Yeah. Do birds sit on their shoulders?
I got to
It
remember
happened.
what that was.
It happened.
I know what you're talking about.
Thank you. And I don't think it was in the garden. I do think it was right out here, and we were doing something, cleaning something. Okay, anyway,
Yeah.
But
I'll remember.
it was a lot of work to get up there, and then it was all worth it because all of a sudden there was elk, and it was like,
Yeah.
I had my chance, and I didn't want to shoot those bulls, but just to have that
You
opportunity,
also didn't have your gun off.
right? But if it was like,
But he stood there for, what, a minute?
yeah,
So you had enough time. And he
Yeah.
might have ran if he moved. I don't know.
right,
Yeah, so we called, and then we were driving in the dark to go to this other place, and we're driving, and we're spotting deer on the road, driving, and all of a sudden I go, oh, stop, back up. And we back up, and there's a bull elk that was running up in the timber.
Shootable?
it was like way after dark.
It was way after
Well,
dark.
if it wasn't dark, was it shootable?
It was running through the timber. It
Oh,
was
you
a
couldn't
good.
tell.
It was bigger than the bulls that
We saw previously,
Garrett saw that day.
not a like monster bull by any means, but
No,
significantly larger than the
mature
other ones.
bull.
Yeah,
Something Garrett would have shot. Maybe not. We don't know. At this point, I'm like, it was a bull, but that's a good sign because this time of year the bulls are grouped up. So usually you find one bull, you find
okay.
a few.
And
all
I
right?
don't know those things, so.
Yeah, and so we're like, oh shit, this is forest. Well, we'll drive a little more. He wasn't a huge bull, so we don't need to chase him. And we drive a little bit more, and then there's a herd of elk that tries to cross the road and go up in there. And we looked at them for a bit. No bulls with them, some spikes, I think, or a raghorn or something. And we kept driving. I'm like, I think we should turn around and walk up in there tomorrow. So instead of going to where we were going to go, we turned around and went up and parked up in there a ways and climbed in bed for the worst night.
wiggled in bed.
Wiggled in bed. I didn't even eat. I was so tired.
Yeah,
I didn't even eat dinner.
you're like, I only got a 2-hour nap. I don't want to eat dinner.
I didn't get a 2-hour nap.
So mad.
Maybe you're
get to our nap.
maybe you're delirious, like lack of food. Animals start talking to you.
The
Probably.
moons, the tent.
Probably.
You need naps. Blood sugar's low.
But that was a cold night,
Yeah, it was. Mm-hmm.
and it's hard when it's that cold and where you're sleeping to get out for the next morning because it's like I'm not warm, but I'm a heck of a lot warmer than outside.
Yeah, and it frosted hard, froze the ground. Ground was hard, and it was cold. But we got up, hiked up the hill, worked and glassed all day, and nothing. And then we pop out. We're gonna hike up another hill. We hike up, and Garrett wanted to walk the side hill. I want to walk the top, and we kind of debate. He's like, I think the elk will be on this side hill bed. And I'm like, it's in the shade. It's still frosty there. They're going to be up still in the timber, but they'll be on the meadows where the sun's hitting. They can warm up and see, and the wind's blowing. And so we split up again. And Garrett walked down there, and I walked across the meadow. And we're walking. He's down below me. And we're not like right next to each other. We're a few hundred yards apart. And you're down significantly from me.
It's thick timber, so...
Yeah.
We can see different things. That's the point of that.
Yes, because we were looking to see where the elk were, where we could find elk. And I'm walking across, and I always glass the timber. Well, I stop, and I glass across the meadow of the timber, and I see a bedded deer. And I'm like, there's probably more than one, you know. Mm-hmm. So I'm glassing. I catch the movement, and I look, and here comes a bull elk right across the middle of the meadow. Well, when it first came out, I just saw an elk. And I could only see like its neck to its head, and it was a ways out, but it was running or
trotting, maybe
trotting. It was like a fast walk. It wasn't like it was scared. It just was crossing the clearing. It wasn't feeding at all. It was going from A to B. And I'm like, shit, there's a cow. Maybe there's a bull. And I throw my binoculars up, and it just was right when the head was going under or dropping below this bluff that was in between us, and I saw horns. Don't know how big, just saw horns. So, oh shit, it was a bull. So I dropped my pack. For a split second, I go, oh, should I make sure how big it is? And I'm like, no, I'll go get Garrett. And I drop my pack. I run down the hill. I start whistling. Is it Close Encounters of the Fourth Kind we were whistling or something?
Yeah, some kind of...
Maybe that's Hunger Games. I don't know.
That's definitely Hunger Games.
What is it, that?
Yeah.
Is that the... Sorry.
I think they stole it from Close Encounters of the Fourth Kind. But anyways, I grab him. I'm giving him a sign. I'm like, bull. And he comes running, right? And we get up there, and I'm like, he was right here.
Wait, what's the bull sign? That's a good sign.
Yeah.
Pretty self-explanatory.
Pretty effective.
Mm-hmm.
So we come running out, like quiet running. We're not just like tromps and come running out. And I'm like, hey, he took this cut, blah, blah. You sit here. I'm going to go down and see if I can get around him and spook him up towards you, because I'll get downwind of him, you know. I do this whole thing. No bull elk pops out, so he must have beat us or whatever. While I'm coming up, there was like a herd of 9 deer with a decent buck with them, bedded in the timber that I had spotted from across. I looked at nothing. And we come back. I pick up Garrett. We go back. Did we eat lunch?
Yeah.
Yeah, we sat down. Let's eat lunch. So we crack out, we're eating lunch, and pretty soon Garrett's like he could hear something behind him, and you hear like crashing through the timber down below where he was walking. Crash, and I'm like, some more crash, and Garrett looks at me, and I go, get your fucking gun off!
Get your gun off!
Oh, shit. He gets his gun off, and we go to peek over the edge, and right when we stand up to go, a mule deer comes shooting out of the bottom right by us. Boom! And it was like, oh, shit. It was a little 2-point. And I was like, I wonder what scared him. I wonder what's pushing him. He was like, could be a bigger buck. Whatever. We go back, finish eating lunch, blah, 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 blah. And we pack up. Okay, we're going to walk this loop and then this and come back to the truck. So we start walking. And I'm kind of lecturing Garrett, right? Because if he would have listened to me, we could have been on this bull elk. And I'm like, yeah, see, when you're up here, you want to walk this far away from the meadow in the timber. It's very hard for them to see you moving when you have that much timber in between you. And you look out across and you glass, and I put my glass up and I turn. I'm like, there's a mule deer right there. It's out in the meadow feeding.
How far?
I don't know.
Probably
over 200.
201.
Okay, it could be 200 on the dot. I don't never ranged it. And I'm like, it's just a 2-point. Garrett throws his binoculars up, and he's like, there's a doe. Oh, there's a shooter buck. There's a shooter buck. Get your gun off. You gonna shoot it? And I just was like, I guess so, yeah. So I take my gun off, and I'm like, I'm gonna creep up this tree, and I creep up to this tree. take my binos off and set my front of my gun on him and kind of hold the shoulder, and I'm looking at him, and he's got us busted. Or I don't know if he exactly sees me, but he knows something's coming over
there.
Area. So
and one of the deer next to him was still feeding, but he was kind of locked on.
Yeah, and that 2-point was locked on big time.
Yeah. And it was a nice deer.
Yeah.
I mean, it stood there just outside his ears, solid frame. Back V's were probably like that. Front V's a little weaker, but solid deer.
And I never really saw him. Like, I'm looking at him in the scope, but he's like kind of in a bush, so I only see the...
One side?
It would have been his right side. Yeah, I only see that one side. And I just got his chest. But I'm okay with that. I'm shooting a 300. Like, that'll put him down.
And when Jared shoots something, it's done, right? Like,
usually,
it's a done deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been at the shooting range and it's like 300 yards, gong, boom, boom, perfect every time.
Yep.
That's what it's like.
It is.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate it.
Why do you make that face then?
Because it didn't happen this time.
It's embarrassing.
I sat down. I was comfortable. I wasn't breathing hard. No sway. And I don't know how far he was. And I shot. Boom! And Garrett has a video of that here.
You're adding a lot of work for Garrett.
Yeah.
And that deer took off running. And then the kind of anger of missing or possibly wounding something kind of takes over, and it's like, Garrett's like, I could see him following that doe. They walked up and stopped. Sometimes when they stop, it's usually because one of them dies or tips over and they're kind of like waiting for their buddy that's laying down. And I thought, well, maybe he's tipping over. So we watched, and the doe kind of fed through the timber. And Garrett's like, that buck's on her. And I couldn't find that buck at all. I don't know where they went. Garrett said they followed this timber and they dropped down. And why they were doing that, he's like, yeah, that buck's there. And I'm like, how far is it? And Garrett's like, I don't know. And I'm like, range the fucking deer. Like, I'm the one with the gun.
Number one, he should have already ranged it. Number two, I didn't want to lose him. I didn't want to lose him in binoculars. If I took my binoculars on and tried to get a range frame, I would have lost him. So
and I was also like, is he limping? Is it, but he wasn't.
No.
Jared, what happened?
I think there was a little bit of perspective going on. I should have ranged the deer, is what I should have done.
I mean, you had the time, right?
I believe so, but I was just arrogant, maybe confident. I'm like, oh, this is a dead
chip
deer.
Shot.
It's chip shot, yeah. And I did that the weekend before. I missed a turkey. The same thing. I'm like, oh, this is a chip shot, 100 yards, right? And I shoot, boom, miss.
You missed a turkey too?
Yeah.
Jared,
separate
what
trip.
the
Different
hell?
gun, though.
Different gun.
So it's you.
Yeah, maybe. But on the turkey, and this is why if we ranged that deer, we would have known. Because on that turkey, I knew where he was. So after I missed, I went, how the hell did I miss? And I ranged it, and it was like 256 yards. Well, that's a lot different than 100 yards at a turkey, especially when, So I missed this deer. What I think happened, I could have flinched. I looked at the video. It doesn't look like it happened so fast.
I flinched. The video
Yeah,
definitely...
that's true.
Because that forest is just dead quiet. I'm just recording with my cell phone. And I wasn't like, oh, is Jared going to shoot it? Is Jared going to shoot it? Boom! And I'm like, oh, I get scared. That 300 slaps.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I didn't hear a whap either.
No.
Usually.
And even in the video, you can see him take off
Yeah.
running fine.
So what I think, if I'll take the top of the computer again. Let's say the deer's here and I'm here. Okay? I'm shooting this way. Between us, there was a hill, or what looked like they were feeding below this little bump. Okay? Because I could see his chest, but nothing below. Like, he wasn't standing where I could see his hooves, right? And so what I think, the perspective that screwed me up was, I think that hill was more like, well, actually, it wasn't a hill. When we walked it, it's flat. Really flat. So why was there a hill there? Why was that deer? Because it sloped. So where that slope came up, listen, to my vision,
you could hear me breathe.
it looked like the deer was here when really that deer was standing back here. Does that make sense? Because in my scope, it looked like the deer was standing right on side of this berm. But there's no berm. When you got there, it was pretty flat. It just angled up slowly. So for that berm, you know what I mean? That deer would have to be standing way back here for that height to make sense. Otherwise, if that deer was standing where that edge of that berm was, it would have.
You've thought about this a lot.
Yeah, because I'm.
It's eating on him for sure.
Well, we're going again in a few days, and I got a gun now. I'm wondering if it was me, if I misjudged it, or if my gun got bumped variables. And it's off. And that was a good deer, but that wasn't like a record book deer.
If it was a record book deal, it would have been like, get your gun out, shoot it. It would have been like, my gun would have been getting off, and then you would have followed suit.
If you were like grabbing your gun, my gun, it would be on. But that's what's making me nervous now is like, I don't know why I missed. Okay, the turkey's fine. I missed range that by 150 yards.
Yeah, but a deer?
Well,
the video, though, the deer doesn't look tiny.
No, it looks close.
Yeah.
Really close.
Yeah.
So,
my
favorite thing is when we got home. And I guess in the drive home, you're like, I can't tell Holly I missed it unless she won't cook dinner. She'll be like, you're a failure.
Well, shit. You work so hard. You go to the shooting range. You do all this. There's no excuse. You should have missed that deer. There's none. That's all you do. It's what you live to do. Should have had it down. Embarrassing.
And in my mind, it's like, if he gets a deer, then he's my little buddy elk hunting the rest of the time. Pressure's off. And I was about getting a deer.
I was thinking, if I shoot a deer,
you can stay home.
I can stay home. Relax.
Yeah. I thought you were messing with me. You came home.
Did. You owe me $100.
I do. Here's the thing. I saw that video. Garrett showed me the video, and he gets scared, so it kind of goes off. I'm like, well, there's no way he missed that shot. It looks so close. There's no way. And it's Jared. He doesn't usually miss, so it's embarrassing. But I'm like, oh, okay. Well, the next video.
Everybody makes mistakes.
Everybody has those days.
I'm having one of those seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, bad. Okay, so I'm looking at this video and it goes off and I'm like, okay, well, you can't see if you shot the deer or not. And then the next video, you're like, well, don't look at that video. And you always lie to me if you got something and you don't. It's always a surprise. Mm-hmm. You like that shock value. So I'm like, oh, 100. I still don't know why you wouldn't let me look at the other video. Was it am I present in that video?
Yeah, I have a video of all the shells I found.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you didn't want me to see the shells. But in my head, I'm like, oh, he got a deer. Like, there's no way he didn't. It's right there. It was like a 100-yard shot. It was not.
I don't know.
I think it's 50 yards.
Like,
yeah. But here's the thing.
I ranged it from where we sat
You did
down.
range it?
After the fact.
After the fact. So I don't know where the deer was standing, but where we were sitting, we were somewhere in between that tree and where that deer was. And it was 171 yards. So it had to be farther than that. I don't know if it was 200. I don't know if it was 250 yards.
Yeah, but you've shot longer than that.
There was no excuse to
happens.
miss.
Anyway,
what I can see
I'm still telling my story.
Is with that berm. I could see that bullet hitting that berm.
I'm speaking.
Yeah, I know, but the story was boring me. All right, go on.
I was just gonna say we bet, and it's fine. Never mind. Keep going.
All right. Holly owes me $100 because she was so excied. She didn't
because she had confidence in her man.
That I don't miss.
Anymore.
No.
And she bet me $100 that I did shoot a deer. And I'm like, don't bet me, Holly. I know what I shot.
Yeah, but you always mess with me. You always lie.
I know, but don't you think if you were like, I'll bet $100, if I would have shot one, I would have been like, no, let's not bet $100. Why would I go all in?
Okay, but you kind of did because you were like, well, why would you bet me? I know. And you're like, we don't need to bet. We don't need to bet. So that made me.
Because you're my wife and I care about you.
Money.
It's the same money.
That's why it's funny.
No, it's not. I'm taking it out of your account.
What account? If we share an account.
Damn.
Yeah.
Congratulations. You played yourself.
Minus $100 plus $100 on that count. It's going to be like minus 100 plus 100.
That's what counts the paper trail. Yeah.
It happens though.
It happens. Right? Yep.
I've missed deer. You haven't missed a deer?
I haven't missed anything.
She's only shot 3 things.
I've shot a coyote.
4 things.
Was running. I've shot a deer.
A coyote was not running.
It was running when I shot it.
No. it was running. It stopped. I said, shoot, you
From
shot.
pretty far for me. That was the first thing I ever shot.
Like
that
70,
was
75 yards.
It was more
pretty
than
far.
that. Jared, give me credit where credit's due, you little shit.
Yeah, he misses a shot. Now all of a sudden he has to downgrade all your stuff.
Yeah,
it
it was
was-
good. And the deer was running when I shot it. My first deer.
Your deer was running when you shot it. I will say this about Holly. She is a deadeye.
Yeah.
She can shoot.
Thank you. Don't downplay it.
And doesn't care at all. Like, for me, when I'm shooting, maybe I overthink it a bit. I breathe. Holly just is like, boom, bing. I shot it. What else you want me to do?
So maybe you should take some notes. Like, Holly, do you have any advice you'd like to give Jared about shooting?
Yeah, if you're going to shoot, kill it.
She shot a coyote. She shot a deer.
Turkey,
You shot a turkey
antelope.
and an antelope.
Racking them up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it takes time.
But after that whole ordeal, I mean, there's definitely an adrenaline spike and then crash.
Yep.
Because we're like, all right, you missed. I said, well, I think they went down. So we were walking. And I'm like, well, I think they went down. So I was lower on the hill than you. And you kept walking. And I come down and I see the little 2-point that he's with kind of down below, probably about 70 yards, looking at me. And I'm like, here he is. So I waited till he ran off. And then I went back and trying to find you. And you had walked down and then up and around the hill trying to find.
And kick that doe out. There was a doe that came out, but he never came out.
But there's that adrenaline of like, I got a deer, then
Yeah.
dang it, I didn't get a deer, and then that crash. So you sat down, and then it was Jared's nap time again. And I'm like, we got to go, let's go. And you're like, I just need 15 minutes.
How long did it take?
22. I timed it on my watch.
Well, that's pretty close.
Yeah.
That actually is pretty close for you. Yeah.
But
That adrenaline crash is just like,
yeah, it wipes you out.
yeah.
And it's so specific because I was there. I experienced the same thing, but I wasn't shooting, so I didn't have that, of the excitement and then the disappointment.
So then we decided that we were going to go to a different spot, and then we were going to stay there. And we went back and forth a while. We decided to stay there. Maybe that buck would come out that evening on that meadow again with a doe. There was other deer in the area, and there was this back corner that it was like,
It looked pristine
it
via
looked
map.
pristine. Like this, there'll be elk in here. So we decided to walk that loop. We walked down, up, got in there. There wasn't a lot of elk sign. Maybe in the spring there was an elk rub, but nothing fresh. We came around. We did jump some deer. An okay 2-point with them, and spirits were down. It was like I thought we were going to find something in here and nothing. And we came back, and I left a whole thing of curry behind on the hill.
We had to include that.
What?
Yeah.
His guts aren't right. So if you imagine
Why
the,
you look at me like
the
that?
texture of curry.
Yeah.
Oh, it was your poop?
Yeah.
That's pretty gross. Yeah.
Anyways, we'll move on.
Thanks for leaving that in. I mean, we could have glazed over that.
One reason I don't eat curry. Anyways.
Would you actually eat curry?
No, I would never eat curry.
Okay, you're making it sound okay. Never
After
mind.
this incident of the curry, he then went on a 15-minute rant about how curry's just filtered out of the shit plant and repackaged and sold
That's
because
disgusting.
that's what it is.
That's making me feel sick.
Yeah,
Like
don't
a
eat-
20-minute
don't eat curry.
rant.
Okay.
Yeah,
Not all
anyways.
curry's
I really
bad.
need to find someone to hunt with. It's maybe more on the normal side.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, and then
The
we-
moon's a tent.
The dogs, the coyotes, they're talking to me.
anyways, yeah, we walked out.
Strange,
But
man.
we were debating, should we
Yeah.
stay here? Should we go somewhere? No, let's check this back corner. We get to this back corner
Nothing.
and nothing. And it's just kind of defeating. It's like we wasted our time because when you're hunting, it's like morning, evening. Those are your prime times, right?
Yeah, during the day is difficult because stuff's bedded, especially elk. They bed in that thick timber
Right.
where we're hunting. They're pressured, so I mean
They
they're
know.
slippery. Yep.
So how did we screw up? Well, let's walk this main ridge out and then glass till dark, see if we can catch anything moving. So we're working our way. And you always lead when we walk. I don't know what it is.
It's my personality, and I try not to.
They say that narcissists lead when they walk too. Just saying.
What do you mean 2? I mean, that fits perfect.
I don't think you're a narcissist, though.
I think you need to stay off TikTok.
No.
Yeah.
It's not TikTok.
I've
diagnosed
tried
you.
it where I'm like, hey, you walk in the front for a while, even when we're hiking and stuff.
And then you cut and get in front of me.
You're a natural born
Subconsciously.
leader.
I don't know. I think it's easier for me to set the pace. Is what it is.
It's 100% easier for the lead person to set the pace. But we hunt together so much, I'm just used to it.
Yeah.
Used to, all right, that's where we're going. Well, we're walking up this ridge, kind of along it, and all of a sudden I look up and there's a cow elk, probably 70 yards.
No. Probably like 46, 47 yards.
Okay, 46, 47
Within
yards.
50 yards.
I'm like, cow elk, and I don't know how
like,
you...
"Jared." And I'm like,
Yeah, right there. Like, how did you not see that? Gun was not off, right?
no, not ready.
So sit down, pop my gun off, and kind of walk down, and no sign of her. But it just goes to show you how slippery those elk can be, because it's like we walk this section, which isn't that big a section, all day, and then all of a sudden, 40 yards, here's a cow.
She probably watched us all day walk.
Yeah,
Below her. Yeah.
Laughing at you.
yeah. So now the gun's off
Mm-hmm. In
because
case we jump
we're
another one,
learning
'cause
things.
usually there's more than one.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just one, but usually if you bump one, there's a few more somewhere in the area. So we walked down to this point, and you must have sat down or something, because we walked down to this point, and I started glassing. And I glass left, I glass right. There's no deer coming out. My buck's not coming out.
Well, is this the first place we glass or the second place?
Second place.
Okay, so you were kind of glassing that way, and I was glassing the other way. So I sat down on this side of the ridge, and I was looking back that way.
That makes sense. And I look through this meadow that's kind of below us, or this opening. No elk there. I look to the left, nothing. I look to the right. I'm looking up, nothing. And I come back to that meadow I started at, and there's a bull elk standing there looking at me, broadside.
What?
And I'm like, Garrett, get your gun.
A
Get your
big
gun.
one?
And I go, get your tripod. And as he's pulling it off his backpack, setting it up, that elk steps up and he's walking away. And I'm like, it's too late. He's moving. Look at him in your binoculars at least. We could be back tomorrow. Garrett looks at him. Well, just so happens when he stepped up and turned, I don't know, the lights hit him good. And all of a sudden you could see, boom. And it was a mature bull. And it was like, holy shit. Because where he was standing was actually down in a burn area, and it's in that twilight. It was like 15 minutes before shooting light is over. So I mean, it was kind of hard to make out fine details from that far away. I ranged him as 420 yards, 424 yards, or something like that. And Garrett's like, "I'm gonna go for it." I'm like, "You're never going to catch him before dark. There's no way."
Yeah.
And he's like, "I got to try." So he took
And you
off.
have to. That's what you came for. You have to try.
It's the other thing is it was Sunday night, so it's not like we could be in there the next day.
Yeah. So he took off running, and I packed up his pack.
I never ran so fast in my life. I mean, we were clear up on a knob, and it was like straight rock, and I was running, and I about biffed it a couple times, and I'm like, I got to do it, It was like
do it.
Rocky was playing in my head. It was like, it's go. And I couldn't be sneaky because there wasn't time. It was like, you just had to get there, and hopefully he's with this cow that was up on a field.
We checked the time, and it was like, 10 minutes till we couldn't shoot.
Yeah.
And so it was like, I'm like, I don't think you can cross this canyon in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And he's like, I got to try.
And I ran, and I made it with 4 minutes to spare.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I wasn't quite as like breathing hard, and then nothing on that field. So then I had to walk back, and it's dark now, right?
Dark.
I
Moon's
thought you
not
were
up
going to
yet.
surprise me when you guys got one.
Still? Where would we have put it?
I know. I was thinking through it the whole entire time.
It's all a conspiracy theory. Get her on the podcast.
I thought
and
it
expose
was.
You
I mean,
got
how
one.
cool would that be?
Yeah, you're telling me.
Maybe
You
next
didn't
episode.
get one for real?
No.
No.
After
But-
all that running, Garrett?
I ran.
You
I
ran
couldn't
hard.
believe how fast I
You're a runner.
ran.
You're a track star.
So I'm sitting up top because one guy's loud enough. Two of us trying to run.
Yeah.
No bueno. So I'm sitting up top, and I'm like, you know what? I'll hook Garrett's pack on my backpack. My backpack will detach from the frame. I could put Garrett's on and then use mine to squeeze Garrett to my frame, and I can carry them both. So Garrett doesn't have to come all the way back up.
That was nice.
So I start walking down to Garrett. And I get down.
It was not nice.
I get down to the tree line, and I whistle. No response. So I'm like, oh. Oh, in the meantime,
No, did you hike all the way back?
In the meantime, when I was packing up, I was watching that bull elk, and a cow elk came out. It was in the meadow, and she wasn't doing much. And that bull elk, I'm watching, and I can hear Garrett. I think you hit the bottom of the ravine because I could hear sticks cracking. Like it sounded like you were down low. And I look up, and that bull was already on the edge of that meadow running. He was just getting at me. Wise. That's why he got that big, you know. The cow, however, stood there. You probably could have cracked her if you went up. So I walk down. I get in the timber. I'm whistling nothing. I walk farther in. I'm whistling nothing. Walk farther in, whistle, and it sounded like you were right to my right below me. And I whistle again, walk a little bit, whistle again, no response. Walk again, whistle, no response. Walk again, whistle, and then he's above me now. And he's like, where you at? Did you get the packs? I said, yeah, I got both packs. And he's like, God damn it, I'm 3/4 way up this hill again.
Oh,
Yeah.
that
So I ran
sucks.
all the way down, cross the ravine, up the other side of the field, then all the way back down the ravine, and then coming back up, there's another ravine off that. And I think that's why the sound sounded weird, is because I was in that other ravine that's an offshoot, but it's still a deep ravine. So that's why the sound's off. But keep in mind, it's dark. I don't have a headlight.
There was no moon yet, and we were in this burned timber. And that, I never really experienced that like that. When it's that burned and black, it really takes
black.
the light away.
Yeah.
There's nothing for the moonlight or the starlight or
to
the
like glisten off
dusk
of.
to light up. So it's like pitch black before that moon comes up.
I made it probably 30 feet below where my pack was sitting. And then he whistles,
Shut
and I
up.
holler,
That
I go,
sucks.
Are you down in the bottom? Yeah, I grabbed your stuff. And I was just like, that mother.
So
Rough.
But then he carried my pack the rest of the way out.
I carried both packs all
You
the way out.
did?
And
Which-
I didn't really stop.
No.
We were
You're
going,
an elk shape.
we were going, and Garrett's like, I kind of stopped to look at him, or I check my phone, right? Because I'm walking in this bottom of this ravine until we hit another cut, and then we're going to walk this cut up to the truck. So I keep checking to make sure how close we're to that cut. And Garrett stops, and he's like, this is the definition of low gear.
Yeah.
But yeah, we hiked all the way out there. Back to the truck, packed up. And we didn't dilly-dally. It was like, throw the packs in wherever they fit. Let's get going. We got to get home.
Yep.
And drove home.
And it was an adventure, and we learned a lot, I think, on that trip.
Yes.
One thing that I learned is always be ready. If you're sitting down in the glass, get your gun off, get your bipod or your tripod, whatever you're using to shoot, set up. Because if you have that opportunity, it's not going to be there forever.
Yeah, it's a quick thing.
Yeah.
And then on the way home, Garrett's notorious. Two things. I'm horrible at driving. When I'm tired, I fall asleep driving. All the time. I hallucinate and fall asleep.
Safe.
It's
Garrett,
bad.
You need a new hunting partner.
I know.
Garrett goes into slow-mo mode. So
do.
you'll be driving.
I've seen
and all of a sudden,
Yeah.
he's like, it's 70, but he's going 50. And you're like, Garrett's tired.
When I get tired, I drive slow.
Well,
Which
he's-
is probably a good thing to do.
Yeah.
Because of reaction times.
see, I feel like when I drive slow, I fall asleep faster. If I drive fast, I'm kind of like, holy fuck, I'm going to die. And it kind of keeps
Stay
me
awake.
awake. Yeah.
Lovely. He's never driving again at night.
But we're driving, and Garrett's kind of going slow, but he gives me a whole spiel. It's probably better because I'm tired and blah, 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 whatever. We're driving along, and all of a sudden, every turn, he's like cramming his brakes, and we're slowing way down.
I couldn't see the road that well.
I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, is this a dirt road? And I'm like, no, we're on pavement. And he's like, drives a little farther, and he's like, is there snow everywhere? What the hell's going on?
Pull over.
I'm like,
Pull over.
pull over.
There's
I
no
gotta
snow.
drive. There's no snow.
Pull
Pull
over.
over. So he pulls over, and I get out, and I step out, and there's fucking snow on the ground.
Oh my gosh.
I just thought it was the moonlight reflecting off the road. But we did switch drivers then.
And that was nice because we cruised, and I just prayed I didn't die.
We did. We cruised home.
You didn't die.
Nope.
I was pretty awake though. I wasn't too tired.
We had several naps.
Not that day. I had one 15-minute
Okay, no
nap.
fighting.
Yeah.
But overall, it was a great trip. I
Yep.
learned a lot. We didn't put anything on the table here because we didn't get anything. Kind of
We've got
symbolic.
nothing so far.
But we're out. We're going to try again. Got a few days off work. Yeah, but be sure to check out our TikTok, Instagram. Well, like you said, we're going to post a full review video. Also have a few feedback items for the Vormy Field Run hoodie on our backcountry elk trip where we flew in.
Mm-hmm.
A couple quick moments where our first thoughts and kind of how we thought it was performing. So watch our social media for those.
Yep. And this next, not tomorrow we're working, but tomorrow evening we're heading out for 5 days.
Yep.
To chase elk. So we're still working, we're still playing, but as always, we're going to keep surviving the week to live on the weekends.